Tonight, we're stepping away from twinkling lights and Hallmark endings and into a Christmas tradition that shows up with horns, hooves, and a very bad attitude. While children hang stockings and write letters to Santa, there's another visitor who used to prowl the snowy streets of Europe in early December. He doesn't slide down the chimney with presents. He rattles chains, swats at your legs with birch branches, and, if you're truly unlucky, he throws you in a basket and drags you away. I'm Rowan Black, and this is Haunt and Hallows. Tonight, we're opening the door on the legend of Krampus, St. Nicholas's horned, half-goat shadow, and the Christmas devil that refuses to stay buried. Blow out the candles, lock your doors. Let's talk about the monster that walks beside a saint. To understand Krampus, you have to forget the cozy Coca-Cola Santa we grew up with. In the alpine regions of Central Europe, places like Austria, Bavaria, parts of Slovenia, and northern Italy, December used to belong to someone much stranger. On the evening of December 5th, the night before St. Nicholas Day, families would hear heavy bells clanging in the snow, the scrape of hooves, and low animalistic growls outside their doors. St. Nicholas, the original model for Santa, was the holy bishop who rewarded good children with fruit, nuts, and small gifts. And then there was his opposite, Krampus. Krampus is usually described as a towering, hairy figure with the horns of a goat, cloven hooves, fanged teeth, and a long, lolling tongue that hangs out of his mouth. He carries chains that he rattles for dramatic effect, and a bundle of birch branches, called a root, that he uses to swat misbehaving kids. While St. Nicholas blesses, Krampus punishes. He is literally the shadow walking beside the saint. So where did this horned figure come from? The short answer is nobody knows for sure. The longer answer is beautifully messy. Many folklorists think Krampus has roots in pre-Christian pagan winter rituals from the Alpine region. Before Christianity arrived, people in those mountains honored wild nature spirits and deities that ruled the dark half of the year. Some of them were horned, animal-like figures who symbolized the brutality of winter and the thin line between life and death. The name Krampus likely comes from the Old High German word Krampen, meaning claw. In some later legends, Krampus is even said to be the son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld, a being tied not just to the cold, but to the world of the dead itself. When Christianity spread through Europe, the church faced a choice: erase these winter demons completely, or absorb them. And as we've seen in so many other cases, they chose absorption, with a side of holy rebranding. Krampus is unsettling because he looks a lot like what the church told people the devil looked like: horns, hooves, fangs, chains. By the 12th century, there are reports of church authorities trying to suppress Krampus-like figures in winter celebrations because they were considered too pagan, too demonic, too wild. But people don't give up their monsters easily. Instead, Krampus becomes attached to St. Nicholas as his helper. The saint doesn't dirty his hands with punishment. That job goes to his chained demon at his feet. It's a perfect piece of theological theater. Goodness literally holding evil on a leash. Fast forward several centuries to the 20th century. In Austria, during the 1930s, a fascist-leaning government banned Krampus traditions, calling them unchristian and unhealthy for children. Even in the 1950s, officials reportedly distributed pamphlets warning parents that Krampus is an evil man, trying to sanitize Christmas into something more wholesome. It didn't work. If anything, the attempts to ban Krampus made him stronger. He slipped from forbidden folklore into full-blown counterculture icon. Let's go back to that night in early December, Krampusnacht, the night of Krampus. Traditionally, on December 5th, Saint Nicholas would visit homes in the Alpine regions, accompanied by Krampus. The saint would question the children. Had they said their prayers, helped their parents, behaved in school? Good children received treats. The naughty ones got a swat from the birch, a piece of coal, or a face-to-face encounter with the horned thing in the corner. In older, darker versions of the legend, Krampus's wicker basket or sack wasn't just a prop. It was meant for the worst offenders, children he could carry away, drown, or drag straight to hell. Over time, those private house visits spilled into the streets. Today, many Alpine towns host Krampusläufe, Krampus runs. Imagine narrow cobblestone streets, breath fogging in the cold, church bells echoing, and then, suddenly, a wave of creatures charging toward you in fur and horns, their cowbells pounding like a heartbeat. They rattle chains, swipe at your legs with switches, roar in your face, and move on. It's chaos, but it's choreographed chaos, a blend of performance art, religious ritual, and old-world fear. In some towns, these Krampus troops are organized into clubs, and they spend months hand-carving wooden masks, stitching fursuits, and rehearsing their movements. It's not just a party, it's a serious tradition. If you've seen photos or videos from these parades, you know how intense those costumes are. A traditional Krampus suit is usually made of real animal fur, heavy, hot, and uncomfortable. The masks are often carved out of wood with exaggerated horns, snarling mouths, and glass eyes that reflect firelight just enough to make your stomach drop. Around their waists, performers strap on enormous cowbells that slam against their backs with every step, creating this bone-deep clanging sound you feel more than hear. Then there are the props, chains, which likely symbolize the Christian church binding the devil. The birch switches, holdovers from older pagan rituals, but also a very literal threat of corporal punishment. The basket or sack slung over the shoulders for carrying off misbehaving children. It's all carefully designed to blur the line between a fun scare and something that feels much older and more dangerous. As if being chased through snowy streets wasn't enough, Europe decided to put Krampus on stationery. Starting in the 19th century, people began sending Krampuskarten, Krampus postcards. Instead of cozy nativity scenes or gentle angels, these cards show Krampus whipping naughty children, stuffing them into sacks, or looming behind terrified families. They're often captioned with "Greetings from Krampus" in a disturbingly cheerful font. Some cards are shockingly dark. Others are weirdly playful, with Krampus flirting with young women or chasing adults instead of kids. Over time, he even gets cutified in some artwork. Less demon, more mischievous goblin. But the message is the same. Christmas isn't just about warmth and generosity. It's also about judgment. By the mid-20th century, Krampus was on the ropes. Between church disapproval, government bans, and the global spread of a more sanitized Santa Claus, it looked like the horned one might finally be pushed back into the shadows. But folklore has a way of resurrecting itself. In the late 20th and early 21st century, Krampus came roaring back, not just in Alpine villages, but worldwide. Cities like Salzburg and Munich host huge Krampus nights. Artists collect and reprint vintage Krampus postcards. Horror fans embraced him as the perfect anti-Santa. Films, comic books, graphic novels, and TV episodes started leaning into the idea of Krampus as Santa's evil twin, the one who shows up when the holiday spirit dies, when greed and cruelty take over. Even here in the United States, cities have begun hosting their own Krampus parades. Horned costumes marching between strip malls and traffic lights, like an old god that took the wrong exit off the interstate. The thing the church tried to censor is now printed on Christmas sweaters. So here's the question that's been haunting me while researching this episode. Why do we, as human beings, insist on dragging monsters into our holiest season? You'd think we'd want Christmas to be pure light, angels, candles, carols, peace on earth, goodwill to men. But historically, Christmas, especially in Europe, has always had a shadow side. The nights are long, the cold can kill, food runs low, death feels closer than birth, and right in the center of that darkness, the church tried to build a festival of hope. Krampus is the tension between those two realities made flesh. On one hand, he's a tool of social control. Behave or the demon gets you. On the other, he's a kind of safety valve. Once a year, people are allowed to put on horns, become the thing they fear, and then survive it. From a psychological standpoint, Krampus is catharsis. We ritualize the fact that the world is not safe, that punishment exists, that actions have consequences. From a spiritual standpoint, if you're like me and you grew up in a religious environment, Krampus looks like a dramatization of something you're told every Sunday. There is mercy and there is judgment. Saint Nicholas and Krampus walking the streets together is a living icon of that paradox. Grace on one side, terror on the other. You don't get to choose which one knocks on your door. You earn it. Whether you see Krampus as a leftover pagan demon, a Christian morality play, or just a really metal excuse to wear fur and scare your neighbors, one thing is clear. Christmas has always been more haunted than we remember. So the next time you're out shopping under fluorescent lights, listening to cheerful carols on repeat, imagine, for just a second, the sound of heavy bells echoing down a dark alpine street. Imagine horns silhouetted against falling snow, chains dragging through ice, and a creature that doesn't care how many presents are under your tree, only what kind of person you've been this year. Because somewhere in the old stories, there's still a knock at the door on December 5th, and it might not be Santa. I'm Rowan Black. This has been Haunt and Hallows. If you enjoyed tonight's descent into the darker side of Christmas, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend who always roots for the villain. Sleep well. And if you hear bells tonight, maybe don't open the door.